Hello, good people of YouTube. Welcome back. I'm having a sip of coffee today against my better judgment because I love coffee. It tastes so good going down. I have a coffee shirt on too. But I like too much stuff in it, I think, is the problem. I put a bunch of sugar and a bunch of cream in it, and then I have a huge sugar crash later. That light is a little bright in the background. Sorry about that. Let me turn the light off. I drank 2 cups of coffee on Christmas Day, and the rest of the day I was like jittering and shaking and had some type of coffee sugar high going. I'm gonna have 1 cup this evening, but anyways, we're gonna be doing a video today about something a little different than usual. It's kind of firewood related, but my truck is in the shop, and I'm gonna show you some videos about what's going on here. I'll put them on the screen, maybe now, maybe in a little bit. But I have an air conditioner pulley that went bad, and if you don't know anything about cars, apparently the compressor in the air conditioner system is driven off of belts on the engine, and it's a belt that goes around a pulley or whatever you want to call it that turns the inside of your air conditioner components. And if the inside of it seized up or locked up so the pulley couldn't turn, well, the belt still wants to turn the pulley. And I'll show you a video of that so you understand. But when that thing locks up and the belt strips out, it smokes and causes it to smoke, and all the plastic burns out, and then it just strips out and breaks and it goes away. Well, I was delivering firewood a few weeks ago, and I pulled up to a stoplight, and all this smoke started pouring out of my hood, and I was like, oh my gosh, the first thing I immediately thought was coolant. So I got to where I was going to deliver firewood, popped the hood, and sure enough, the coolant reservoir was bone dry, completely empty. Well, I had never really checked it before because I bought the truck new. I bought the truck used, and I just never really thought to look at the coolant, but the guy that I bought coolant from was nice enough to lend me some coolant, and I'm gonna try to take care of him in the future, whatever. As soon as I can get back to this guy, I'll bring him some extra wood or whatever, but he gave me coolant to put in, which was awesome, and he had a Ford F-150 too, so shout out to that gentleman. I can't think of his name right now, but I have it all saved in my phone. I have his address. I'm gonna get him some free wood or something in the future. But I filled it up at his house and then drove all the way home. And when I got home, I popped the hood again and the coolant was low again. So I topped it up again, and I thought I had a coolant problem, but I think it was just a coincidence that it was coolant. Now I'm gonna do a lot of rambling in this video, and I'm probably gonna get off topic a lot. I don't even have notes, and hopefully I remember everything I wanted to say. But so I thought it was coolant, and let me digress a little bit. Months ago, when I did my last oil change in my truck, I started noticing that there was drops of oil on the garage floor, and I'll show that in the video too. This was like 3 months ago, before I even got my trailer. If you watch the video and you know I bought that trailer a couple months ago, the trailer has to be parked inside my garage at my house because I can't have it in the driveway. So you can see that it was on the floor, staying the garage floor before I even had the trailer, because now I'm parking my truck outside in the driveway, and these oil drips were happening before I even had the trailer, and that situation was happening. But I'll show that on the floor just so you can see. But so I noticed I was leaking some type of fluid, and I put my finger in it, and I didn't know if it didn't look like straight coolant. It looked like oil, but it looked like coolant and oil mix. I couldn't really tell. Come to find out, I think it was just oil. I think the coolant was low just as a coincidence. And I happened to have an oil leak at the same time. So I topped it up with coolant that second time once I got home, and it's never dropped again. It's been holding pressure. But okay, skip forward a little bit here. I took my truck into the dealer. And this is kind of the point of this video. If there's one thing that I know some things about, it's car dealers. I was in the car business for 16 years, and I thought I chose a good dealer to take it to. I had a pretty good relationship with these guys, but I don't know the people in service at all. I dealt with the separate, and this is what I'm going to get into. The car sales department is a separate department than the service and the body shop and the used cars and the new. It's all compartmentalized, separate businesses within an umbrella of one car dealer, right? So, anyways, I took it into these guys against my better judgment because I made my living for 16 years off of saving people money from getting into these body shops and service departments. That's what I did. Um, but I wanted to try and see if I could get. I thought it would be a high price, but listen, guys, they came back and I took what I thought would be insane, and they basically tripled it. I was floored. They wanted $5,000 to replace this air conditioning component. Basically, they wanted to replace the entire air conditioning system in the whole truck, the compressor, the expansion valve, everything, all the components of the whole thing. And then for that little oil leak, which I can pop the hood and see, when I pop the hood, I could see where I was leaking oil. It's coming out from underneath the valve cover, right on the left side top of the engine. You can see it right there. It runs down the engine. It's not hard to find. They tried to tell me that they needed to pull the entire engine out of the car and redo the entire engine and timing and everything, and they wanted another $2,600 to do that. So to fix an oil leak, which is basically a gasket underneath the valve cover, and to replace that pulley on my air conditioner, they wanted $5,100 plus tax, and who else would have known it would have been? I also told him, excuse me, I also told the dealer that I would be interested in maybe having my coolant flushed and replaced, because when I put that coolant in, when it was low, I just put general all-purpose coolant in. If you know anything about coolant, there's pink, there's green, there's orange, there's all kinds of different, there's like 10 different kinds of coolants depending upon if you have a foreign vehicle, a Ford, a GM, whatever. And I don't know why they think they're all special. They get so specialized and try to change these formulas, but they do. And I mean, I'm willing to bet if you drain all the coolant out of your car and say you had a Volkswagen and it's supposed to be pink and you just put general all-purpose back in, all one kind, it would be fine. But I also hear rumors that if you start mixing different types of coolant, that they can react with each other and gum up and cause thick, gummy deposits in your radiator. So I asked them for a coolant flush too, just so I could make sure that I didn't mix the coolants and I would have any reaction. Just that should be easy. And I know that. Well, they wanted $180 to do a coolant flush and switch my coolant back. You can go to walmart.com, at least my Walmart right up here down the street. It's $29.88 to do a coolant exchange, to drain the coolant out and flush it and put new coolant in. Also, any oil change place that does fast oil changes, and I'm not recommending you go there at all. I'm just saying they all offer that service, and I'm sure it's under $40. In addition, the Ford dealer that I took my car to has what's called a quick lane service, where they do oil changes, drive in on the spot business oil changes. I'm pretty sure they offer a coolant flush there, and it's not going to be $180. But for some reason, if you walk into their service department and not the quick lane, this guy thinks that he has the right to charge $180 to do the same service. Now, I don't know if the service writers and when you drive your car into a service at a big dealership, the service writers, sometimes they get commission. I'm not saying that that's going on here and that's 100% of everybody, because every business is run a little bit differently. But some of these guys, sometimes they'll get like hourly pay in addition to some bonuses and commissions based off of what they can sell and the amount of service they can write. And I think that may have been what happened to me and what I got into. I got at some young he looked like he was in his mid to early 20s, young hotshot wannabe go-getter service writer that probably thinks that he can write as much service as he wants, and he thinks it's just great. He just writes up his commission and takes home a couple $100 extra every day and just ripping people off, right? So I took my car out of the Ford dealer, And now I'm without my truck. It's my firewood truck. And surely there's no one out there in firewood land that knows what it's like to be without your truck for, a week or more while you're getting repairs done, right? I'm not going to mention any names, but Allen Family Firewood might know something about it. Anyways, he ended up getting a whole new truck because it was such a pain in the butt. And that's something else that I'm wondering. I mean, you can buy a new engine for my truck, that 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine, for $3,000. They wanted $5,100 to fix a gasket with an oil leak and a belt pulley thing. Ridiculous. So that's something else, as they get you in and they ride it up so high that some people probably just decide to trade their truck in. And that's why they do it. I don't know how these dealers stay in business. People pay for this stuff and they'll agree to do it. It's ridiculous. I'm not. But yeah, some people will go in and go, oh, $5,000. Oh, I should just trade my car. I could get a whole new truck with a $200 monthly payment, and I'd rather do that than pay $5,500 up front by the time it's all said and done. But it would drive you insane if you knew what goes on in these big car dealerships. I mean, I don't want to get into it because it's so negative and it's so frustrating and insane. But they'll put these car salesmen and car managers in charge of selling cars, but then the owner of the dealership over the umbrella forces them to use their own body shop and their own service department to do the repairs on, like when they take used cars in and they have to get things fixed. Because he's just paying himself in his service department to feed off of his own used car lot, and they always want to be in an increase every year, so it just keeps going up and up and up. It's ridiculous. And I was in that business, and I found out, like, you think you're a good businessman, and if the owner is even an owner operator, and you can find him in the business, and you think you're going to go talk to him and get in good and bring him a Christmas gift or whatever, and sit down and tell him how much money you can save him and get to know him and get in good with him, and what, you're fooling yourself. It was the biggest slap in the face you could imagine to go in and then find, when it comes down to it, the owner doesn't want you there. He doesn't want to save money on you because you're taken away from his body shop and his service department. It's insane. So I don't want to get into all of this other stuff that goes on used car lots. That's not why I'm here. But if you're doing firewood and you have equipment, this is something you have to, I mean, this one repair is costing me a lot of firewood sales. So I took my truck somewhere else and I'm getting it done for substantially less, over half of savings. And come to find out, the oil leak is not nearly as involved as what they were trying to do to pull my whole engine out of my car and spend all this money. It's a valve cover with a gasket. So I'm going to save all kinds of money, and I can let you know later what I ended up paying. I don't even know yet. I'll post this video later. My truck is still in the shop and I'm still waiting, but that's all part of firewood. So, and again, I'm kind of digressing, but if you're into firewood and you start having these repairs that are costly, the more equipment you buy, the more repairs and maintenance items that you're going to have, and it starts to just get ridiculous. So, excuse me. You got to be selling a lot of firewood if you want to do it full time. If you're going to start buying skid steers and conveyor belts and $13,000 plus Easton made log splitters, which would be great. Don't get me wrong. I love the splitters, but I can't justify that kind of money right now. That's years of work to pay that off for me as a small firewood business. And just even your truck, having all the maintenance and trailers and multiple chainsaws with expensive chains and parts and and it goes on. I mean, everybody knows what you can buy, the log tongs and all the attachments and grapples and things for tractors and just, so all of that stuff adds up, and as a small firewood business, I would totally recommend starting small. I mean, axe and chainsaw. I got a great deal on my Power Connect splitter, and that's why I bought that. I've got it paid off already. So it's all profit from here. Whatever happens with that machine, however many years I get out of it, it's just going to be helping me out from now on. But if I would have bought a 10, 12, $20,000 splitter, I'd be making payments on that for the next 5 or 10 years, at least. Um, so it's just worth thinking about. I mean, it's frustrating for me, but you have these repairs pop up, and if you have a tractor, that's a whole other beast. I mean, you have grease fittings and oil changes and filters and maintenance, and if you want to keep the warranty up, I assume you probably have to take it back to a certified dealer and have services done at so many hours, and it just gets to be expensive. So I'm not there yet. You got to sell a lot of firewood to do that. And that goes back into my video of going pro, what it would take or whatever. And I'm not trying to be negative at all, because I certainly would like to get there one day. But right now, for me, it's going to be doing the most I can do with one person. Even bringing a second person in is payroll and stuff. You have to pay somebody. It's too much. I mean, you can do a lot of firewood with one person, and the more people you get involved, the more problems, the more money. So I'm not there yet, and I'm going to keep just doing as much as I can with one person for the foreseeable future. And if I end up saving up a little extra money, I'll buy some more equipment. But I don't see myself renting land or buying a new wood yard and buying a skid steer and a dump trailer. Dump trailers start out at $7,000 for a small one, and a good size one where you can haul a cord or two of wood is going to be 15, 20, 25,000 and up. I mean, you all know it's easy to spend money. If you want to go get a aluminum or galvanized dump trailer that's all high tech, you could spend $50,000 to $70,000 on a trailer if you want to. But anyways, I'm without my truck now, and I'm waiting to get it back. Hopefully it'll be soon, and hopefully I'm going to save some good money on it. And so just watch out, guys. If you go to a car dealer, I know if you have a warranty, you have to go to a car dealer to keep your warranty, but I would try to find a good, honest mechanic that's outside of a dealership, because it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they are, like I said, I don't know how they stay in money. Stay in business. It makes me so mad to think of how grossly you're being overcharged and just ripped off from everything to labor to parts to everything. I don't know how they keep doing it, but like I said, a large portion of what keeps them in business is they feed their service and body shop with their own cars off of their car lot, and then they have customers come in and wrap it into a loan or whatever, a payment, and it's ridiculous, guys. Like those guys that run the used car, that's something else I just wanted to mention. The guys that run the used car side of things, they are forced to deal with this too. So the owner makes them use their own body shop or service department and puts them under the gun. So if they bring in a car on trade and they're already having slim margins on it because they had to make the deal and they only have maybe $500 in the car, they send it to their service department for an oil leak and they get a $5,000 bill. The owner just says, well, deal with it. Figure it out. Either figure it out or you're gone. And they are gone all the time. They're fired, and somebody else. What are they supposed to do? You have to price your used cars competitively and run ads, and everybody else in town sells the same used cars. So if you take something in and you're $5,000 over market value or Kelley Blue Book value, and the owner just says, well, figure it out, you better sell it or you're gone, or what kind of situation are you left with? What are you supposed to do as a used car salesman to make that deal? It's insane. And that's what I dealt with for 16 years. And whoa, my computer just shut off. Sorry. I dealt with that for 16 years. And yes, my attitude started getting bad, and I started showing my frustration with people. And that's why. I mean, I can honestly look at myself and say, yes, I was getting frustrated. Look at what I was dealing with. I'm trying to sell to these people. It's absolutely ridiculous. And they start treating you bad, and then as soon as you in business, especially with a used car salesman, and I'm not saying they're all bad people, because there is good people out there, but I'll know the stereotypical used car salesman. They're alpha type personality, people that are out to get you on money. And as soon as you start getting rude or walk away from them and leave them, I mean, if they call you and you say, well, I should have been here a month ago and done this, I told you about it, and you need to call your body shop, and you walk away from it, as soon as you do that, most cases you're gone. Then they'll make it their personal, they make up their personal vendetta to make, not only give you the business, but to make sure you don't get business anywhere else. And I already told you how much they get fired, so then they move around everywhere and they take it with them everywhere they go. And that's what kind of started what I started getting into in my business with these guys, and it was absolutely ridiculous, and it's out of my control. So I got out of that business, and I'm much happier now. I used to make a lot more money than I do now, but it was insane. The stress and the dealing with this stuff was crazy. So I'm doing other things now, and I'm enjoying the firewood. But these are the kind of expenses that you have to deal with when you start selling firewood as part of your income. Things come up, and they're major expenses, and the more equipment you buy, the worse it is. So don't go out and overinvest. I mean, I'm sure glad I didn't go buy a $20,000 splitter and a $20,000 skid steer and rented a lot for $600-800 a month to go have a wood yard in, and you'll never get it back, because in May, June, July, August, September, even a little bit in this city, there's no firewood. You're not going to be doing $4,000 or $5,000 a month in firewood in July here. I mean, I'm a pyromaniac, and I don't even burn fires in July. So, I mean, you just have to think about it. You have to be real. You have to be positive, and the work is there. You can do some firewood, but you have to also have realistic expectations sometimes. And I don't see myself paying those kind. If you've got $2,000 or $3,000, if you've got $1,500 or $2,000 in monthly payments on tractors and land and everything else, and then in addition to mortgages and trucks and families and food and insurance and everything else, it gets to be too much in the summer months here. So just kind of a little a vlog today, talking about what I got going on and talking about some firewood things. Don't want to be too negative, but I thought I'd talk about the used car business a little bit, because a lot of people don't really know this stuff or understand it, and I think it's interesting stuff, but it is crazy, and they charge way too much money for things there. And I mean, even if I ever get rich and win the lottery and get a Ferrari, I don't even know if I'd want one, because there's not even a Ferrari dealer in Louisville. And if you buy a new Ferrari, you got to take it into their dealer for scheduled service, and think about what that is. I mean, you start talking about Porsches, Ferraris, even Lexuses and stuff. You got to take it in to do their oil change. They're going to charge you $350 for an oil change, and then you have scheduled maintenance, and it just gets to be ridiculous. So just for what it's worth, I think it's interesting. You probably don't want to hear much more about the car business, because it is a crazy deal, and it gets me all kinds of upset about it. But there's a little bit of, I'm sure you can see just from what I told you, how frustrating it is trying to sell to these people, and you can't even save them money. You can't even go in and go, look, I can do this for like $50, man. And they go, nope, sorry, we got to use our dealer. It's $2,000. And you can't even get them there. You can't make the sale on that kind of savings, because the owner is making money in the service department off of their used cars. It is insane. I mean, you talk about insanity. It was making me frustrated. So I started visually showing my frustration with work at some of these places, and you just can't do that. So I know, that's why I got out of this business, and I know exactly what was going on and why I was frustrated. But I also got just as frustrated as a customer. I walked into this Ford dealer with my truck, and as a customer knew that I was getting absolutely bent over a barrel. And I said, no, I couldn't get out of there fast. I said, don't touch my truck. He tried to tell me all of this stuff I needed to do, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. I'm mad at myself for even trying right now to give them my business. They charged me $160 to diagnose the car. I don't know what their standard fee is, but it's probably based off of an hourly rate. All they did was pull my truck in and they put my truck on a lift and looked up and saw that there was a pulley broken. You can pop the hood. I'm not even a mechanic. I popped the hood. It took me 2 seconds to look at my motor and go, there's an oil leak coming right here out of my valve cover. It's spilling down the whole front of my engine. And then they looked underneath and saw that the pulley with the belt-driven air conditioning thing was broken. And that was basically it. So how many hours of time did it take them to do that? Nothing. It maybe 1 hour of labor, which is probably $40 an hour or something. They charged me $160 of the diagnostic fee. So the whole thing was just absolutely ridiculous, I get really frustrated with these guys. I was thinking about opening my own business and getting back into the car business again, and the more I look at it, it's a bad situation. The management is terrible around town, and I don't want to I don't want to go running back into that situation. So I'm happier doing what I'm doing now, and I love doing firewood, and people are happy to have you there, and customers want you there and stuff. So it's so much more peaceful. It's just the money's tougher. It's tougher to pay for the repairs. But I'm going to stop rambling on. I've been talking for like 20 minutes. I'm sure I have showed the graphics of what was going on with my truck by now, or will in the future, and you'll be able to get an idea. I don't have video of the oil leak. It's you can see it. All it is you pop the hood and look at the motor, and there's oil stain running down the front of the engine block. I mean, there's not much to see there. It's been going on for months. I thought it was just from an oil change dripping, but it wasn't. But anyways, I hope you'll have a great day. Maybe you'll learn something interesting today about the car business, and it's worth thinking about firewood. Don't overinvest.